All right. Welcome back, friends. Very excited to have a new guest, a new friend of mine here with us today, Francis Nyan, who is originally from Memphis, Tennessee. So shout out to our Southern friends. But he's currently living in Budapest, Hungary. His online business and travel journey started back in 2015 when he hopped on his first plane to go teach English in Barcelona. He then spent 2 years teaching in Spain and Hungary before deciding to build an online copywriting business. He wanted to travel the world, use his writing skills to make money, and live that dream life of freedom. So fast forward just a couple of years, and he runs a six-figure business with email copywriting and marketing while also traveling to 25 countries. That must have happened mostly before this year, 2020.
Yeah, definitely.
And today he works with multiple 6 to 7 figure e-commerce brands, as well as coaches and mentors who have been featured on CNN, Vice, and are considered some of the best business and personal development coaches in the world. So we're among friends here. Now he spends his days writing copy and creating email automations for clients, looking so his clients can also travel and, search for their next big way to make an impact. So we got a lot to talk about today, friend.
Oh, definitely. I'm excited. Yeah, thank you so much, Hannah, for having me. I'm
Yeah.
so excited to be, engaging with the group and everything. And yeah, I've been waiting for this for weeks.
Yay. I am so glad that you reached out. We obviously have a lot in common, but I'm curious, you and I even taught English abroad in countries. And I'm curious if that was maybe the thing that inspired you to start this type of business, or did you grow up just thinking, I'm going to automate emails and travel the world when I grow up? How did this all
Oh,
kind of
definitely.
unfold for you?
Yeah, it just kind of like fell into my lap almost. I left Jackson, Mississippi, where I was, going to university, and I didn't even know that there was such thing as like an online business or anything. I think the craziest thing was like to go somewhere and like teach English. It became like a pipeline for me to meet different people who were doing kind of different things. They were expats in Spain and Portugal and France and all these things. And I started meeting like a handful of like online business people. So over time, it was just something that kind of like slowly seeped into my head. And, I never had any idea that I could actually make money writing copy until like literally like 2.5 years ago. It blew my mind. So yeah, I never had that dream like as a kid.
Right. No, I can totally relate. I also did the teaching English thing because I thought that's what I wanted to do, was like be in schools. And then I realized that like chasing kids and like wiping their noses and like that was just way out of my zone of genius. But what I think is so interesting about, our experiences is that we had to leave our comfort zone, your hometown. I had to leave my hometown. And like, I guess the best word is just really like dive in and experience the world. And, I talk to people about copy, and words can teach, but I think experience teaches even more. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. And over time, I've been actually thinking about this lately, how my experiences traveling and taking these big risks and like, investing in myself and meeting different people and understanding, what makes them tick, what they like, why are they here traveling with me? Why are they here in another country? This has given me a whole lot of amazing perspective, that I use in my copy. And, being a copywriter, we have to know our demographic. We have to know our ideal client. That's just being a business owner. So I think having that perspective and having that experience, like meeting other people and diving into different cultures and things like that, I think that's for sure helped with my storytelling, which is kind of my specialty. Stories and copy is my business. So it's definitely helped out in the long run.
Yeah, I totally agree. It just kind of adds that richness and dimension that you can connect more deeply with your audience, but also just like people in general. So I could jam out on, like how we got here for days. I think people's stories are so interesting, and we have so many similarities, with everyone in the world. But now I want to kind of really dive into this working remote thing. So like 10 months ago, it was really sexy to be working from home and like, oh, laptop life, do this from anywhere. And now that kids are like doing school at home and like everything is happening remote, I think the conversation has changed dramatically. But what I also know is that people are realizing that it isn't just a dream life to be working anywhere, anytime. I'm someone that did the digital nomad thing for like a year and learned so much about productivity and workflow. And you're still, moving a lot. So I would love to get just some of your top tips for people who are either newly quarantining and figuring out at home routine, or who still are looking to, live that laptop lifestyle or be a digital nomad. What are your top
Yeah.
tips?
Yeah, my top tips is one, I think to lose this grand allure that it's just going to be you hanging out on the beach on your laptop, chilling
Money
on a
falling
hammock.
from the
Yeah,
sky,
exactly. I
raving
mean, does that
fans.
happen? Yeah, and just being in your pajamas all day. I mean, does that happen? Yeah, of course. A few months ago, I was in Greece, had my laptop there, looking at client stats. Oh, wow, they sold six figures in like a week. That was awesome. But I think one is to lose that grand allure and to really treat it like like it's your job. And it's not going to be this vacation where you're going to wake up every day at 10, 11, 12 o'clock and you're just going to do nothing. For me, I've been diving a whole lot into productivity. And I think the biggest tip that I have in feeling good and being productive and working well from home and really anywhere is to have like a solid set of habits, and for me, I am like, my routines are like the bunker of like my life right now.
Yes.
When I wake up in the morning, I have the same routine, and at night I have the same routine as well. I mean, this is like, it sets me up, it's kind of like cliche, but it sets me up for success. It's like,
Yeah.
but I feel weird if I don't start my day at 5:30 and go for a run or go exercise, or if I don't read a little bit, or if I don't meditate or journal or anything.
Yeah.
And
2020 Hannah is totally with you. 2017 Hannah is like, please, because
oh
a
yeah,
hard lesson for me was that structure is what affords freedom. I previously thought freedom was all those things. Like I can do it whenever I want, which meant that I didn't have a plan. So either I was doing it work all the time, or I was stressing about not working, right? So
yeah.
like I have just like lived and learned over and over that structure equals freedom. And this piece about the morning, totally agree with. But here's the thing, when I was working for other people and you told me get up at 5:30 to do that stuff to make you feel good, it was a totally different game. I
Oh
feel
yeah.
like when you're in alignment, like you're with your mission and you wake up knowing you have work to do, not like work for someone else's dream, but you're like doing your thing, that makes that 5:30 like a delight. Would you
Oh
agree with
yeah.
that? Okay.
Oh yeah. I absolutely love it. I mean, it used to be 5 a.m. and then I changed it to 5:30 because I found out I wake up like a little bit better. But then, it's one of those things which, I don't have like a perfect night of sleep every night. There's times where I only sleep like 3, 4, 5 hours for some reason. But when 5:30 comes around, it's like I'm almost excited. It's like I'm like almost happy that it's difficult to get out of bed and to go on that run, or to start my day like well. And it's just, for me, it gets me excited because I feel like I'm really on my purpose. And I think the great thing about me having my business and you having your business and everyone else in this group is like, we're doing what we like, and it excites all of us. And I think that's something to really drive us. And yeah, it's a big part of why I'm so productive.
Yeah. And this is another one of those things that you got to experience. Like I have looked at the Pinterest boards. I have read the Miracle Morning books. Like, okay, makes sense. Early is good for you. Okay. When you go through the motions, it's so different than when it comes from this place of like inspired action. And so we are dropping cliches, but cliches are cliches because they're true. And we keep
But
saying them
true.
because people keep experiencing it and being like, oh yeah, that's true. Get up early, rise and shine, all that stuff. So if you're not believing us, do your best to experience a inspired morning, right?
Definitely.
So then you're up at 5:30, you're, doing your things to help you get ready for the day, but then do you just kind of sit at the computer all day, or how does the rest of your remote work day look like?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I definitely don't just like grind out and, hustle my face off, hashtag hustle, all of that stuff. I mean, I think, when I first started my business, it was that I was like totally fine with putting in like 10, 12-hour days, but, I'm working from home and we're all working from home. And, we can easily start to feel stir crazy, get that cabin fever. So for me, I like to do the Pomodoro like method technique and take like a 5-10 minute break every 30-40 minutes, and then a little bit before lunch, and in the evening I like to go on a walk, and it's like 20-30 minutes with my girlfriend. We just kind of walk around Budapest, and we don't really have anywhere to go. Sometimes we'll stop and get dinner somewhere, or just sit on a bench or something, but it's, we need to be outside. It's like I think, yeah, getting some fresh air, stretching those legs and everything is like so good for the mind. And it's so good,
Yeah.
especially as a business owner, you want ideas, and the best ideas come from these walks.
Experience. I keep harping on this, but it seems so relevant for this conversation. And, I had this, a similar sentiment with another podcast guest last week, who was talking about things like good sleep and exercise and, drinking water when it comes to taking care of yourself. And it's like, we want these productivity hacks and these health tips to be sexy, and they're not. It's like,
They're
do the things
not.
you need to do, like take a walk, take a breath, step away from the computer every now and then. And for me, I'll just add what's been really helpful, is I've been doing more copywriting and phone calls that just require more computer and, technology time, is being conscious about those walks. So I used to and I still do this sometimes, I would walk and do a coaching call. So that's cool. But being aware that I get to take this 5-minute walk and how beautiful the trees are, and tapping into some sort of gratitude exercise, has been one of my favorite little hacks, if you will, lately. Simple. Again, we know these things, right?
We know these things. Yeah, I love that too. I think mindful walking, I'm like super kind of into like Eastern philosophy, and just being like, even like the food I eat, I'm like, oh, this like came from like a farmer or something. It's definitely helped. I mean, it helps kind of in every part of like working from home. Just kind of having your mind somewhere away from the laptop always helps.
So good. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of your I don't love the term woo-woo, but your health and wellness side of things. But I also know there's a big part of your brain that can nerd out on analytics and conversions and copywriting tips. So, we chatted a little bit before the recording that a lot of coaches are listening. And the thing we both love about coaches is that they're great at what they do, which is coaching, not marketing. So I would love for you to just kind of, kick off a conversation for coaches here when it comes to thinking more about that analytical, business, marketing, sales side of everyone's brain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm an email marketer, so that's kind of like my realm in the marketing space. And for me, it's one of those things in which every coach I've worked with, at least most of them, they kind of have this problem of kind of using the same business jargon. They might sell the same product or service, and they'll end up using the same words that their competitors use. There might be a business coach, a mindset coach, a yoga coach, dating coach. I work with a lot of dating coaches, and they all end up kind of saying the same things, and I think a lot of coaches, when they first start out, they have difficulty kind of exuding what makes them truly unique. And I might say that on a call, and they say, just tell me what makes you unique. And they're like, oh, I have no idea. Like, I don't really know that this is like my service. This is what I do. And I'm like, no, tell me your story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, tell me why you're doing this. Tell me what inspired you to help people in this way. And for me, especially in email marketing, right from that first welcome sequence, it's all about telling the story of the coach, and going into their background and really engaging with their prospects by being truly authentic with their words. I mean, you don't need to be very fancy or even very formal with your email copy. Yeah. I worked with a lot of coaches where they love cursing. They love being quite crude in the way that they market themselves.
Or they
And
hate
yeah, does that
grammar and they love emoji.
yeah, exactly. I mean, like, I think recently I was working with this coach from New York, and she was like a copy coach slash like business coach. And she is like she's like a Latina from Brooklyn, and it's just like she uses a lot of emojis, she uses a lot of slang that I don't know, just being like a Southerner. And I'm just like, and the way she wrote her welcome sequence, it was amazing because it was just so different.
So
it was
her.
so unique.
Yeah.
It was so her, and she was so unapologetic. And I think that's being authentically you and just writing the way that you would speak. I think that's probably like my 100%. Biggest tip overall in regards to marketing.
That's what's magnetic, and now we have so many tools to communicate with more than just text. We can use emojis, which is like the first international language. We can bold, we can ellipses. I'm a big fan of the ... slang, those types of things. And what I am hearing from you is that like pointed deep dive, like let's dive into you as a human being and your story and your vernacular, as opposed to let's go out and research what everybody else is doing. In fact, I tell clients, okay, go look at what other people are doing so we know what we're not going to do. This is different than SEO. Okay. Search engine optimization. You need to use keywords. You need to be relevant. You need to use the same terms as people in your field. But when it comes to this kind of relational writing, when they're on your list or they're in your Instagram feed, like be different. Don't try to be better or like do the same thing that they're already doing. Be you, be unapologetically you. And that only comes from like looking inward and not looking outward. Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think a lot of times coaches, they think too much about like, they always ask me, how do I be better? Like, how can I make this copy better? Like, Francis, look at this welcome sequence. How can it be better? And I always say it doesn't have to be better. It just has to be unique, because, I could write this with, in a different voice. I can write this in, using different words. But if I write the way I speak, it's not going to resonate with their target audience. It's like if you really speak with your authentic voice and you just try to be you, then you start resonating with people who love your products. And, at that point, when you start building that loyalty, like they're going to pay whatever they want for your product or service. I mean, there's this guy recently who I joined his email list, and he started off with like the story of how like his dog almost died and how he had to save it for, and I was like, oh man, like what kind of business owner tells this story? And I just bought in. I mean, I'm absolutely enthralled by this guy. I'm like in his program. I'm like in his mentorship. And I'm like, wow. I love this guy because he's so different. I think that's something all coaches should do.
Yeah. Is it him or the dog specifically that you love? No.
I think both.
But these are the things, right? And so this is why personal brand is such a buzzword right now, is because, this year specifically, there are more coaches than there have ever been. And it continues to grow as people, take pause at their life and are working remote and are seeing how many people have coaches. So in order to stay ahead of the curve, for people who actually have like, resources and solutions to provide and aren't just trying to start something so that they can start something, but coaches who actually have stuff to share. Your differentiator, the reason why people are going to choose you and not Sally Joe and her sister and everyone else, is because of that personal connection. And story is that driving factor of your personal brand that helps people like Francis feel like, I don't even know what's inside your program, but your dog, the way you're talking, like I have a connection to you already.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm definitely just a sucker for that. I mean, he told me the story, and then like 3 weeks later, he sent something to his email list, and he was like, I got this program coming out. I think it's going to be really great. Let me know if you're up for it. I'm pretty sure it was like super vague. And I'm not sure if this was like me being super impulsive and I just like the guy. But I like applied to be in the program.
It works.
And I was like, oh, I want in. So yeah.
Yeah. Your vibe attracts your tribe.
Exactly.
Another cliche you can find on Pinterest, and also experience. So would you say that having strictly just like warming pieces of content that don't have like a business angle, don't have a call to action, like how necessary are those pieces of content?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest mistakes a coach can make, especially in their emails and I guess on social media as well, as you mentioned, is to constantly be promoting. You know, I always kind of use the metaphor of like it's similar to a friend who always messages you and all they want to do is like get something from you, and they're not really engaging with you or entertaining you or really bringing value to your life. So this is one of those things in which like something that a lot of copywriters, email copywriters like to say is infotainment, which is information and entertainment. So kind of giving this valuable content that improves their lives and helps your prospects out, but also infusing it with a nice story and something that kind of entertains them. I mean, it's one of those things that it just makes it really magnetic, as you said, and it really sticks to them. You use this story and it creates an emotion and you attach those emotions with that person and they're going to think of you, and it's just a better way just to connect with people and it can just be so powerful.
Yeah, really well said. Edutainment, is that how you said it?
Infotainment.
Infotainment. That's great. Yeah, and I think you can probably recognize the folks that do this well and the folks that don't, that you're following or engage with you. I think we could all think of people who have, slid into our DMs with something that we did not ask for and do not want, and just had like a pitch or an email we've gotten that just does not land, or people who it feels like they're yelling at you when you get on the feed. It's just like, man, like you again, like on a rant. And so there's a time and place for everything. But I think to have that, like holistic tribe and like people who are going to be, like you're saying, Francis, like ready to buy when you offer, you've got to show other sides of yourself than just the offer and just work even.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think one of those things is like, especially working with coaches, and I think it's especially important nowadays, is that you have to view your business. You're not really working business to business. I mean, you are, but I mean, at the end of the day, people don't want to work with a company. They want to work with another. And I think this might be pretty cliche, but in Mad Men, I think like Roger Sterling said something like 99% of the time, business comes down to I don't like that guy or I like that guy. And I kind of always think about that. How can I be liked? And it's not even so much about being liked, but being me. And for my clients, being themselves.
Oh yeah, so good. This is like nothing I could say in the real world, but I can say this in a group of like coaches and entrepreneurs that like I get to be Hanna for a living, and like showing all the pieces of Hanna. Like, yes, I do copywriting. Yes, I do coaching, marketing. Like, I also walk my dog and I also care about healthy food, and like all these other pieces make up a personal brand. And now there's so many ways we can monetize off of that. So I'm curious, Francis, where do we start? Where do coaches who are listening that are like, okay, I'm ready to infotain, where do they start?
Yeah, I mean, definitely look into your background and look into the stories that you like to tell. What are the stories that make you laugh? What are the stories that you think define you? I mean, if you joined my email list, for example, I think around email like 2 or 3 into like a very I beat drug addiction back in 5. I think going back into your story and picking out all those things that you think make you you and were integral parts of your life, then I think start from there.
Yeah. There's an exercise I give clients that I call Through the Ages, in which I just have them write down every memory they have of every age. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You tend to get a lot more around like age 7 and 8 of things that you remember. And that's just like a really great process I found to get people to think about those things. Because, when you give that example of like overcoming drug addiction, or for me, like overcoming an eating disorder, there's a lot of people who are like, well, I didn't have it that, like, I didn't do that. But there are things that you've done and that are unique to you and that are remarkable. And so just like any other types of content, I think looking inward, like, what do you remember? What are your memories inside? As opposed to like, let me see how everyone else is doing this. Oh, I can write about my dog because he just said dog. I have dog. No, like inward before going outward with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, I think it's just so powerful. I mean, there's just so many coaches out there, as you said, and I think the best way to really market yourself is to be as authentic as you can. And yeah, use those stories. I mean, there's been so many people who have opted in who I didn't know, who read that, little like 6-minute story that I wrote in like a cafe here in Budapest, and have just been like, that was like amazing. That was really powerful. I hope you're doing well, and I'm so happy I know you from that. And it doesn't have to be some crazy story, as you said. It could just be the relationship between you and your mom or something, or how you feel, how you feel towards your favorite movie or something. I mean, people are going to resonate with that. I think that's just a great way to start.
Amazing. So my next question is not meant to be like a roast. I really want to know what you think about this, because I've been hearing for years that email marketing is dead or dying.
Yes. I've been hearing it, well, forever, since I've specialized in it. And yeah, I guess it's definitely not a roast. And my rebuttal is always like, if you think email marketing is dead, then you're most definitely doing it wrong. Because I've worked with coaches who are extremely niche, who are absolutely killing it on email. They get all of their clients on email. They sell all of their info products and programs and courses. That's where they expect to make the most money from their launches, is through email. And I've worked with e-commerce businesses in which they only sell one product only, and they end up making $1 million a month plus just through email, with 30, 40, 50% of the revenue coming through email alone. So it's definitely not dead. It's definitely alive and kicking, as long as you have an email, which
you have a list.
We're always going to have it, and you have a list, then it's always going to be something to monetize.
I agree with you. I think it's honestly marketing. I think people want us to like believe that social media and every new platform is like the end all be all. But your email list is the only thing that you actually own, right? So I'm so very passionate about email marketing as you are, because you can build longer term relationships. And just because your open rate might be less, like I still go to my email every day, all day. Like we're still using it for so many functions right now. And it is one of the safest places you can like harbor your people, because we don't know what's going to happen with TikTok or Instagram or Facebook down the line, but you'll always have those contacts. So good. So then my last question around like how-tos here is, what are the types of things you're connecting email to, right? Because there has to be some reason to get on a list. So what are some of those, either lead magnets or opt-ins or reasons to join a coach's list that you find are working well right now?
Yeah, so right now I see a lot, like a big trend in just how-tos. It's kind of the classic of I'm a big fan of checklists and just like ultimate guides. I mean, for me, I actually really prefer something longer. I'm a big reader, so this might be. I think it depends. It really just depends on your niche and what your product is. But for me, I'm a big reader. Something of like, I wrote a book, so here's like the first chapter of my book. Like, check this out. Or here's my my quick step guide to outcome, or something like this. I think being very simple with it, just to lead them into that list, is really good. But also, I've been testing out something with my clients where they do a video instead of reading something, because a lot of people are audio learners, visual learners. Personally, I like to read. Some people like to watch videos. I can't really stand videos, but I've been testing this out with my clients where they opt in and they'll say, get my free 10-minute training on my expertise, whatever that could be. So I think that's actually something that's could be really, really fun to test out for any coach right now.
Yeah. What I'm hearing loud and clear is value. Give value. Give something that they can check off. Give something that they can go play with or implement or actually do something with. I think there used to be a day where it was just like, send it for my newsletter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
Definitely not that. Definitely don't do that. Definitely
Right.
don't just have like a little checkbox at the end where it's like sign up for updates. It's like, why would I want an update? Give me something
Yeah.
good. But then after that, it's all about, yeah, your welcome sequence. Time to make that first impression.
Tell your story, get connected with them, show your
Yeah,
personal brand, which you've already
exactly.
talked so eloquently about. All right, Francis. Well, these are really, really helpful takeaways. And I do just want to, like, again, underscore how reliable and effective emails can be, especially done consistently, like most things. If you are nurturing that list, you'll always have it. So if you haven't started an email list, start one now, even if it's just in your little Google Drive where I started mine 4 years ago. Start somewhere, start nurturing, and start just experimenting with your story, because you'll get feedback. Like Francis said, you'll know which ones people remember or thank you for. But you'll only figure that out by taking the actions that Francis has laid out for us today. So, Francis, just my last question is, where can people continue this conversation, learn more about your work, and stay connected with you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you guys want to stay connected with me, you can follow me at storiesandcopy.com or francis9.com. I think they're connected. I'm pretty sure. I think I might have messed that up, but I think that, yeah, they're definitely together. But you can go to storiesandcopy.com, join my email list.
I
I
was gonna say,
email,
yeah, come on, where are your emails
yeah,
at, man?
exactly. I have my freebie. My value is a little welcome sequence manifesto. So how to have a really kick-ass welcome sequence to, yeah, have an awesome red carpet for your for any subscriber. And then also the next few weeks I'll be releasing a little ebook called The Click Rate Code: How to Make Money Writing Emails Even If You're Not a Writer. And that'll come out, and you'll get all the updates via my email list. So yeah, hope to see you guys there.
Yeah, that's huge value. So thank you so much. We'll make sure we get some links in the show notes once this is all produced and out in all of the platforms you can find us. So friends, I'll be back next week. Wherever you are, we will find you with another inspiring guest that will help you make your dream life and business your real life.